Breaking news! Something's happening in Miami, and it's not just the summer heat. It's the tension, uncertainty, and plain old drama coming out of the Dolphins' mandatory minicamp. With training camp just over a month away, I'm here to tell you this. Not everything is as it seems inside that facility. The Dolphins may have wrapped up minicamp, but what happened in those 3 days could have serious consequences for the upcoming season. And let's be honest, some of it just doesn't feel right. Look, we all know the window is open for a Super Bowl berth, but only if the roster is ready to win now. Mike McDaniel, he's doing his job. The players, many are stepping up. But Chris Grier, make no mistake, the guy should have been sent packing a long time ago. Yet somehow, he's still making decisions, still shaping this roster with decisions that leave fans baffled. And what just happened at minicamp may be the clearest sign yet that this team is playing with fire. We've got rising stars, players on the brink, and some absolutely shocking developments coming out of training camp. I'll tell you all about it. But first, like if you're a true Miami Dolphins fan who loves navy blue and orange, and if you've been a fan of this team for more than 20 years, show your pride in the comments with, "Go Dolphins!" My heart is overflowing with blue and orange. Now for the real story behind Miami's minicamp, what's working, what's not working, and why the next few weeks could define this team's future. Now let's get to the heart of it. Minicamp wrapped up on June 12th, and even though we won't see these guys in action again until training camp kicks off in mid-July, a lot has already unfolded. First off, Tanner Conner, yeah, that name might surprise you. The former wide receiver turned tight end had one of the strongest minicamps of anyone on the roster. Quick feet, clean routes, and solid hands, Conner stood out in a tight end group that looks painfully thin. And that's not even the biggest story. Jonnu Smith is reportedly on the trade block, and if he gets moved, this position group might be in complete disarray. Without Jonnu, the Dolphins are looking at Julian Hill, Pharaoh Brown, Conner, Hayden Rucci, and an undrafted free agent in Jalen Conair. That's not a playoff caliber group by any stretch. Unless the team moves quickly to bring in someone like Gerald Everett, Hayden Hurst, or even makes a splash for a name like Kyle Pitts or Michael Mayer, things could unravel fast at tight end. But don't get it twisted, Tanner Conner's breakout doesn't change the need for a real solution. Maybe, just maybe, if Grier pulls off a minor trade, you could piece together something serviceable with Conner, Hill, and a mid-tier addition. But are we really trusting Chris Grier to navigate this situation the right way? Meanwhile, there's a new name popping up on the defensive edge. Grayson Murphy, the undrafted rookie out of UCLA, turned heads with back-to-back standout performances during minicamp. He racked up sacks, made plays in the run game, and even though he suffered a minor injury, it doesn't seem to be anything serious. What's crazy is that he's suddenly in the conversation for the fifth edge spot on the roster. With Jaylon Phillips, Bradley Chubb, and Chop Robinson locking down the top three, that leaves maybe 2 spots, and Murphy might just edge out Quentin Bell, who had a solid but unspectacular 2023. If the Dolphins only keep 4 edges, Bell's in big trouble. If they keep 5, it could be Murphy's spot to lose. That battle's going to be one of the juiciest stories to follow in training camp. Moving to linebacker, let me tell you, I didn't expect this. Willie Gay Jr., who signed a 1-year deal in free agency, absolutely exploded on the second day of minicamp. Pick 6 off Zach Wilson? Check. Sack? Check. He was everywhere. This linebacker group, which last year was a bit of a disappointment, might now be one of the strengths of the team. With Jordan Brooks, Tyrell Dodson, KJ Britt, and now Gay, the depth and impact potential are real. Dodson just signed a 2-year deal and looked great last season when finally given snaps. Brooks stayed healthy and delivered, and if he does it again, this unit could lead the charge defensively. And here's a name you haven't heard in a while, Cam Smith. The third-year corner is clinging to relevance in Miami, and his NFL future might depend on this year. Mike McDaniel had high praise for Smith this week, calling out his effort and growth, even though beat reporters haven't exactly been highlighting him. It's a strange contrast, but if Smith can step up, especially as a boundary corner, it could be a game changer for this defense. Even if the Dolphins add more corners in free agency, a strong showing from Smith would raise the ceiling of this defense in a big way. Now let's talk about the disappointments, and yeah, it starts with Zach Wilson. The former Jets quarterback came to Miami as a reclamation project, but things aren't looking good. McDaniel called him out publicly, saying he's too slow processing the field and hesitates far too much despite having elite arm strength. That's not going to cut it, not in this offense. We've seen this before, players overwhelmed by the complexity of McDaniel's system. It's early, sure, but right now, Wilson does not look like a reliable backup to Tua. Let's just hope QB1 stays healthy all 17 games. Another name trending down is safety Patrick McMorris. After showing promise last year before an injury, he's now fighting for a roster spot. With new additions like Melifonwu, Ashton Davis, and rookie Dante Trader Jr., McMorris could be the odd man out. Trader already made waves with an interception off a Tua Westbrook miscommunication, and he's gaining attention for his leadership and instincts. If the Dolphins only keep 4 safeties, McMorris needs a standout camp to avoid getting cut. Quentin Bell is also in trouble. The edge rusher who made last year's roster and was re-signed this offseason is being outplayed by Grayson Murphy. If the team sticks with 4 edge players, Bell's time in Miami might be over. And the final loser? Us, the fans. No Dolphins football for another month. After weeks of minicamp buzz, we're now entering the long wait until training camp. But don't go anywhere. Big things are coming. Trade rumors around Jonnu Smith. Uncertainty with Jalen Ramsey. The Dolphins aren't done making moves, and we'll be here breaking it all down. Because let's be honest, this is the kind of question that really exposes the cracks in this roster, and it's exactly what Chris Grier needs to answer for. The fact that we're even debating whether our backup quarterback can function in McDaniel's offense is a problem Grier should have solved months ago. The same goes for the tight end room. It's a ticking time bomb. How does a franchise with legitimate Super Bowl aspirations find itself staring at a depth chart filled with question marks and maybes at a position as critical as tight end? Grier continues to play with fire, hoping that mid-tier trades or UDFA miracles can fill the voids he's left behind. And we're supposed to believe this is a championship-caliber build? Let's not forget, we're still waiting on the outcomes of 2 major storylines, Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey. If Smith gets traded, it leaves this offense significantly less versatile, less dangerous in the red zone, and more predictable overall. Meanwhile, Ramsey's situation remains murky. Trade rumors persist, and even the beat reporters don't have a clear read on whether Miami intends to roll with him or try to rework the roster entirely. The uncertainty around 2 veteran leaders adds more instability to a team that should be tightening the screws heading into training camp. And while Mike McDaniel has offered support and optimism, especially with players like Cam Smith, it's worth noting how disconnected that optimism feels from the reality on the ground. No one's really seen Cam Smith dominate drills. The media isn't buzzing about his performances, but McDaniel's backing him hard. Is it coach speak? A motivational tactic? Or is there something behind the scenes we're not seeing yet? Either way, the Dolphins are betting big on a player who's done little to justify that confidence over the past 2 years. The inside linebacker group might be the one true exception here. Jordan Brooks staying healthy is non-negotiable. Tyrell Dodson has to carry over that late-season magic. And Willie Gay Jr.? He might just be this year's X-Factor. If these 4 can lock it down, it buys the defense time to sort out its identity, especially if Cam Smith or another corner can elevate their play and stabilize the secondary alongside Holland. Still, we can't ignore what's happening with the pass rush. Grayson Murphy might be writing one of those underdog stories fans love, but let's temper the hype until we see it against actual competition in pads. Quentin Bell isn't just some leftover body. He contributed last year and was brought back for a reason. If Murphy takes his spot, it better be because he's outplayed him consistently, not because the front office wants a shiny new name on the depth chart. There's a fine line between competition and chaos, and right now, that edge room is walking it. Meanwhile, on offense, things are far from settled. We've talked about the tight ends, but what about quarterback depth? What happens if Tua goes down? Are we really trusting Zach Wilson to run this offense in a playoff push scenario? What's the plan if he doesn't figure things out before August? McDaniel can talk development and patience all he wants, but this team doesn't have time. This is supposed to be the window. This is supposed to be the year. You can't go into 2025 with a maybe behind your franchise QB. That's what's frustrating for Dolphins fans. There's real talent here. There's a legitimate shot at making noise in the AFC, but the cracks in the roster are obvious. The clock is ticking,